Hello everybody, I hope you are well this Sunday morning. Greetings from a warming Perth. We've had a very, very cold winter and I'm in a bit of a ranty mood. I have to say though that I've had an incredible couple of 2 weeks, and it's very, very intense and very, very busy. We are, of course, setting up and have set up for our new podcast, which is called The Next Journey. First broadcast will be next Sunday. Is it next Sunday? It is next Sunday. It's the 20th of August. Time is traveling very, very fast under my feet. And we did the first interview this week. It was with the first man in the world to have ever rowed a boat from mainland Australia to mainland Africa, unsupported. So that was my first interview, and it was brilliant. And I've got two more scheduled this week, and I've got some amazing guests. We will, of course, on the podcast have people like Paul Marsh. He will be a regular, and I've got plans, and it's going to be brilliant. And it is a commercial enterprise. In other words, I will be doing what do they call it? Sponsored spots. It's not so much sponsored tags or whatever. I don't know. They're organising that. I just have to say the words. So it will actually be partially sponsored content. It's entertainment. Okay. I'm doing the idea is that when I'm driving and doing long distance trips, I love listening to other people's minds, other people's brains. I love listening to podcasts. I love listening to audiobooks. And I'm thinking, well, the idea of the podcast, and these podcasts will be available on all of the big podcast platforms. Okay. And I'll be doing an announcement during the week with the details of that show. And of course, you can go into forexoverland.com/podcasts. Or is it The Next Journey? Just go into forexoverland.com and you'll see a link to podcasts. And you'll get the information. And it's a new project, and it's taking up a huge amount of my time. So I wanted to talk today and have a little rant about the reactions to some of my videos. Now, I'm going to start with... once or so a year, maybe twice a year, I do a little bit of a fundraising exercise, and this time I did a little different. I actually put it at the end of the video. Now, if you want to be effective with fundraising, you put it at the front of the video. So that's why I'm actually saying this at the front of this video. Don't run away. I'm not about to ask you for money, but I'm reacting to the reactions to this video. I cannot, just as hard as I try, I cannot get my head around the idea that somebody would complain about how funds are raised to give them free stuff. You're getting free stuff, and in this case, they watched the entire video, which is about 16 minutes long. They watched the entire video, got to the end, and then complained about the fundraising. The Africa Build... that was it was at the end of episode 15, I think it was, of our Africa Build series. I went over with Gwyn to South Africa. We picked up a Landcruiser. We did a little bit of work on it, just enough to get it to, and we had to do about a 2,000 kilometer drive, and we managed to do that with very few issues, and kind of fell in love with my new Landcruiser, although it was we gave it a name because it had 111 or was it 107 holes? 107, I think it was, holes in the bottom. So we called it Colander. And that was the name we gave. So it's a bit of a spoiler that for those of you who haven't watched that video. That series is ongoing, and it will be completed in its current form by about December this year. And right now you can, if you want to watch, so here's the fundraising thing, is that people complain about having to wait. And I'm basically saying, well, if you would like to support the show and enable such high production values as going to Africa and buying a Landcruiser and building it and making the videos, shooting the videos, editing the videos, if you would like to be part of that function, then hey, buy me a coffee every month. How about a coffee every month? That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for more than that. But instead, they complain about the fact that I'm asking for people to buy me a cup of coffee. My mind does not go that far. I consider myself a reasonably intelligent human being, but that is beyond my intelligence. I can't grasp it. I have to assume it's jealousy that I get you guys to buy me a Landcruiser, and that's in effect what it is. And if that really, bugs you, then I can't help that. I'm not going to be, get a proper job. Your job must suck. Because I'm asking for funding, my job sucks. And my reaction was, well, I have I'm my own boss. I decide what to do, when to do it, and I get to play with the Landcruisers every day of the week. My job sucks. I can't get over it. But as a reaction, when a lot of you will know that I did a story on the Pajero, and it was a very disappointing vehicle because we had a whole convoy of, I can't remember how many, this was in 2009, convoy of vehicles, and we drove the sand sea of the Namib Desert, and the Pajero battled. And it battled mainly because of lack of clearance. And I demonstrated the lack of clearance, the way it would collect sand from underneath it and things like that. I demonstrated that, and it was poor. And it's not a terrible car, but it's not a great car. And so I got attacked by mainly the South African Pajero owners who spewed hate and vitriol in large measure. My reaction to that hate was to do another video about it, and then another. So I'm just letting you know, you guys who gave me a hard time about raising funds, I have now, because of your hate, I have now opened a buymeacoffee.com account. So if you would like to buy me a coffee without going through the Patreon funnel, buymeacoffee.com, just type in ASPW, you'll find me, and ta-da, you can. So my reaction to that kind of criticism that I just can't get my head around is, well, in that case, I'll do more of it because it must be working. All right. Do I lose some subscribers as a result of those fundraising things? Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I've lost 5 subscribers as a result of that video. I gained, it must be about 25 new Patreons. So, okay. Those Patreons who did, thank you. I got a treat for you next week for all Patreons next week. I'm releasing the first video in a new series called Solo Benign Insanity Strikes Again. I did a 1-week trip through incredibly remote part of Western Australia, Canning stock route type remote, all on my own. And at about day 3, I did suffer from that benign malady. And I had a wonderful time. And basically the story really is, when you're traveling alone, there's nobody with you. There's nobody to talk to. But what I actually found is that I actually talk to the camera. You become my traveling companions. So you get to see a bit of the background story, because I'm not necessarily rolling the camera only when something's happening. Sometimes I'm rolling the camera when nothing is happening. And I need somebody to talk to. That entire series, 6 parts, the first episode will be made public in 2 weeks' time. Patreons will get it this week, and the Patreons will have a free link to the video on demand, so you at Patreons can download all 6 programs now for free. All right. Value. I tried my best to give value to my Patreons and to my supporters. So thank you for that, especially for the new Patreons. I have my computer sitting down here, and I'm going to obviously answer Patreon questions first. So Patreons, if you're there, you can throw a question at me, and I'll be glad to answer it for you. All right. The choice of the let's I'm gonna do one last thing here before we get on to the main reason for this discussion is the 2.8 Landcruiser choice and my feelings about it. And but I wanted to mention Ineos. Ineos has released a video at very high cost. It's beautifully produced. The images are gorgeous, and it's a lovely story of Richard Hammond finding the ultimate barn find, which is no spoilers here, a really, really old but very significant Land Rover. And it cuts to the industrialist who started the Grenadier project, and he says to camera, in his words, we have tried to build the spiritual successor to the Land Rover. And the essence of the video that I released about a week ago, a little more than a week ago, before the Landcruiser videos, I said they failed because, and and I mentioned cost. I said the most important thing was cost. They've made it too fancy. They've spent too much money on it, and so therefore it no longer transits those class lines like the Defender once did. In that it wasn't a cheap vehicle, but it wasn't an expensive vehicle, and the basic price was quite low, and so for enthusiasts, it was a great platform because it was a basic vehicle at a fairly low price that they could build up and make. And look at Defenders now. So many Defenders are just beautiful, the way they are built up by enthusiasts. Equal to any car in the world in terms of originality. So they failed on that account because the base price, excuse me for coughing, they failed because the base price is too high. But they failed on another account too, even more significant, or as significant. A spiritual successor to the Land Rover has got to be British. It's got to be British. Honestly, if it's anything else, it's not. How can it be? Looking a bit like it from the side is not enough, because that's the only similarity that the Grenadier has with Defender in terms of its spiritual nature, what it is, what it makes people feel. It's not British. It is a successor to the G-Wagon 461. That's what the Grenadier is. The G-Wagon 461 was a Austrian built, German engine, German transmission, okay, German electrics, all right. The off-road ability, exceptionally good. Loadability, very good. Small fuel tank. And a great design, which kind of would... Yeah, I love the G-Wagon, so I can wax lyrical about G-Wagons. I've owned 2 461 G-Wagons, and they are amongst my favourite vehicles. Off-road, nothing beats a G. Of all my off-road driving, my second G-Wagon with the tall tyres, etc., was outstanding off-road. Brilliant. It was better than my Land Rover Defender. Not by a huge margin, but it was better than my Land Rover Defender. And so, okay, you're not getting enough streaming. You should be getting really good streaming. Message me somebody if you're not getting a good stream. I'm telling that it's broken. Sorry, guys. Are you watching me or have I lost you? I have no idea. I'm not getting comments. it's lost it. Mission controller at NASA is easier than doing a live stream. In stream.